In the ethereal realm of Japanese folklore, where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred, there existed a sinister entity known as the Yomotsu-shikome, or Underworld Hags. These malevolent beings were said to dwell in the depths of Yomi, the underworld, and their presence brought terror to the hearts of mortals. One fateful night, as the moon cast an eerie glow upon the land, a young woman named Akari found herself lost in a desolate forest. As she stumbled through the dense undergrowth, a chilling sound pierced the silence. It was a faint whisper, carried by the wind, that sent shivers down her spine. Yomotsu-shikome. Akari's heart skipped a beat as she realized the true nature of her predicament. She had wandered into the realm of the Underworld Hags. Fear propelled her forward, her feet pounding against the unforgiving earth. As she ran, she could hear the sound of cackling laughter echoing through the trees. The laughter grew louder, more menacing, as if the hags were toying with her, enjoying her terror. Suddenly, Akari tripped over a gnarled root and fell heavily to the ground. As she lay there, helpless and vulnerable, she felt a cold, bony hand reach out and grasp her ankle. She screamed in horror as she was dragged into the darkness. The Underworld Hags were grotesque creatures, their bodies twisted and deformed. Their skin was a sickly green, and their eyes glowed with an otherworldly fire. Their mouths were filled with sharp, jagged teeth, and their claws were long and razor-sharp. As they surrounded Akari, their laughter filled the air, a cacophony of discordant sounds that grated on her nerves. They danced around her, their movements jerky and unnatural, like puppets controlled by an unseen force. "Welcome to Yomi, mortal," one of the hags hissed. "You have wandered into our domain, and now you shall pay the price." Akari struggled against her captors, but her efforts were futile. The hags were far too powerful, and their grip on her was unyielding. They dragged her deeper into the underworld, their laughter echoing through the darkness. As they descended, the air grew heavy and oppressive. The stench of decay filled Akari's nostrils, and she could feel the cold, clammy touch of the underworld on her skin. Finally, they reached a vast cavern, its walls adorned with grotesque carvings and its floor littered with the bones of countless victims. In the center of the cavern stood a massive throne, upon which sat the queen of the Underworld Hags. The queen was a towering figure, her body emaciated and her face a mask of ancient evil. Her eyes burned with a cold, merciless fire, and her lips were curled into a cruel smile. "So, a mortal has dared to enter my realm," the queen said, her voice a raspy whisper. "You shall make a fine addition to my collection." With a flick of her wrist, the queen summoned a group of her minions. They were grotesque creatures, their bodies covered in scales and their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. "Take her," the queen commanded. "Prepare her for the ritual." The minions seized Akari and dragged her away, their claws digging into her flesh. She screamed for help, but her cries were drowned out by the laughter of the hags. As they led her to a sacrificial altar, Akari knew that her fate was sealed. She had fallen into the clutches of the Yomotsu-shikome, and there was no escape. The ritual was a gruesome affair. The hags chanted ancient incantations, their voices rising and falling in a haunting melody. They danced around the altar, their movements becoming more and more frenzied. As the ritual reached its climax, the queen of the Underworld Hags stepped forward. She raised her hands above her head, and a dark energy surged through her body. "By the power of Yomi," the queen intoned, "I claim this mortal's soul." With a swift motion, the queen plunged her claws into Akari's chest. A surge of pain coursed through Akari's body, and she let out a piercing scream. As the queen's claws pierced her heart, Akari felt her life force draining away. Her vision blurred, and her body grew cold. In her final moments, Akari realized that she had made a fatal mistake. She had wandered into the realm of the Underworld Hags, and now she was paying the ultimate price. As darkness enveloped her, Akari's soul was claimed by the queen of the Underworld Hags. She became one of the countless victims who had fallen prey to the sinister entity that dwelled in the depths of Yomi. And so, the legend of the Yomotsu-shikome, the Underworld Hags, was passed down through generations. It became a tale of terror and warning, a reminder that even in the realm of the living, the forces of darkness were always lurking, waiting to claim their victims.